Welcome to the Gist Avenue, gang, my G's gang. How we doing? Welcome to the Gist Avenue with your one and only girl, C Breeze. What do you do? You know what it is. I'm trying to get the perfect light. Like I opened all the lights, but I hope you guys can see me bright enough. Well, welcome to the Gist Avenue with your one and only girl, C Breeze. Today, on today's topic, yes, today is episode 2, season 2. My name is Modukwe Falisi. I am the owner of the Gist Avenue, and I recently joined YouTube. So to my viewers, old and new, to my new viewers, the new ones, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe, watch, share, subscribe. And I would really love that support from you guys. Welcome to another episode. So today I have my notes, okay? I have my notes. So if I look down, just know that I'm trying to get my train of thought back together. But yes, today is going to be a very interesting topic, and I also feel like it's not going to be just one topic and that's it, like one episode and that's it. I want to say it's going to be like a segment, or it's going to be a series, if that makes sense. And it's actually a very it's a very sensitive, controversial topic, but also very personal to every individual, right? And it's going to be about transitioning out of faith. I'm going to title this episode Transitioning Out of Faith, because I feel like as though it's my reality, and probably a reality of someone who's watching me right now, and you just never had someone who understood where you were, or what path that you were taking when it comes to faith. So we're going to be talking about faith today, and personally transitioning out of faith. So for me, generally, let's talk about faith. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what faith is. We all know what faith is. We all know religion. We know what religion is. And for those who do not know, I just want to be a little bit more thorough, right? For those who do not know, faith is strong belief in God or in the doctrines of a religion. You see how that is a little bit separate? It says the strong belief in God or in the doctrines of a religion based on spiritual apprehension rather than proof. So that is what faith is. And we have different types of faith, as we all know. We have Christianity, we have Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, traditional African religions, Catholicism. I hope that is the way to pronounce it. But yes, we have different types of faith. Okay. So, as I've mentioned that, I'm pretty sure everyone has a religion that they are in. Some religions that we were indoctrinated into as kids, and some that a lot of us have continued to, live by. And I feel as though, for me, I have I don't want to say a love-hate relationship for the religion I was raised in, but I am going to pretty much share my opinion and share my experience with my religion, or the religion that I was once in, and that is Christianity. Okay, for all my Christian brothers and sisters, mommies and daddies, I hope you receive this with a lot of understanding. This is not in any way to, how will I put it? To bash, I don't even want to use the word bash. I just feel like it's my experience and it's my opinion and it's not everyone's reality, right? So this is much more about my thoughts on Christianity. So I'll first start with childhood. Like, I was born into a Christian household. In fact, I'm like, I don't know where I was born into, but I know that as early as I could remember, um I was a Christian. I went to church every Sunday. Went to the children's church. Um, I I grew up in the States, so we went to a Christian. Sorry, we went to church every Sunday. Um, and for me as a child, I felt like that was just another day whereby I, meet up with my friends that I saw the past Sunday, where we sang songs, where we learnt about, Bible stories and things that kind of like your foundation as a Christian, right? So for me, I don't know. I don't really have much recollection of like how I felt as a child when it came to Christianity. But all I knew was that it was more of a day, a weekly, what's that word? A weekly obligation? Do I want to call it an obligation or a weekly right? Every Sunday you go to church, you meet your friends in church, you guys sing songs. Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. I mean, I made friends in church. So it was just another set of family for me, right? So that's what I remember as a child. Then I moved to Nigeria. And when I was in Nigeria, I lived with my grandparents, right? And they are Christians. However, um their type of Christianity or the doctrine that they followed, right, was different from the one that I grew up with, like with my mom and my dad. It was it was a little bit more reserved. We do, as Nigerians, if you're watching, you probably know the type of church I'm referring to. They're more religious, and I don't want to say religious. They're a little bit more conservative in their thinking, the way they dress, their way of life was just different from the type of Christianity or the type of church that I, was used to. And even though my grandparents, great people, God rest their souls, um, even though they were different in their religion or in their form of Christianity and the church that they went to and all of that, they never imposed anything on me because, hey, I'm not, I won't say I'm not their child, I'm their grandchild, but they did not impose their type of church doctrines on me. But again, I was still a little child, so I still followed them to church and all of those things. But I feel like this is where my confusion started to come in a little bit, because I'm like, okay, the church I used to go to in America is different. Like, our way of life is different, right? The way we dress, the way we worship, the way we praised was a bit different. But then now I'm experiencing a different form of a different church, and I'm just like, oh, these people are different from what I'm used to. But again, their goal was still God, right? And I feel like this was the beginning of like my curiosity a little. Like, okay, why are there so many different types of churches? Then you visit a different church, maybe a random friend or a family member, you visit their church and it's a different thing as well. I'm just like, what's going on? What is the problem? Why is everyone just so different in the way that they, live their lives or their lifestyle within the church community? I was really confused, right? And I don't know. I feel like I still wasn't really, I still didn't really grasp certain things. I was just like, okay, it's just everybody's just living their own lives differently. And I think I did not get grounded in Christianity until I started secondary school, which is high school, junior high. And I remember when I was starting secondary school in Nigeria, the school I went to is a Christian school. I don't think it was intentional for me to go to. It was. I don't think it was intentional that they wanted me to go to a Christian school, but that was the school that, hey, I saw myself going to. I really loved it from the moment I entered the school. I was just like, oh, this is a beautiful place. I want to be here. So it wasn't really about the fact that it was Christian. It was a Christian school that I went there. However, it was a Christian school. Amazing school. It was one of my, how will I put it? As a teenager, it was where I felt like I became grounded as a person, right? I started to know myself a little bit more. At this point, I wasn't a teenager yet, but I was still like an early adolescent. Is it adolescent? Oh God, my English is not oh that great. But I was still young. I was probably like 11 or 10 when I started secondary school, and that's like 7th grade, I believe. Is that 7th or 6th grade here? I'm not sure. But this is where I became grounded and I started to have a little bit more self-awareness for myself, right? So my experience in secondary school was much different because now it's not a situation whereby I felt like I was just doing it because, hey, every Sunday it's time to go to church. But the school I went to, it was school and God. School, God. Everything was centered around learning and God. Bible studies, praise and worships. Everything was just solely about God. If we were not learning in school, every other thing, most of the stuff that we did was about God. And I was young and I felt like that was just, hey, that was cool. I loved it. I didn't have anything, an opposing like feeling towards it, right? So for my first 3 years in secondary school, I was just used to it. That's the nature of my school. And I did not particularly have an issue, or I did not start having like a varying opinion about it until I think I got to 9th grade. 9th grade for me was kind of like where my mind is a little bit more opened, where I'm understanding things a little bit different, where I start questioning stuff like, why don't I feel this way? Or why don't I have this like strong, assertive, drive compared to the other people in my school? Because in my school, I felt like, this is not to shame or to like attack anything, but I felt like we were measured, or your importance or value was measured based off of how much they believed that you loved God, or how much how active you were in your pursuit of God, like how holy you came across. Like we had this like, oh, holier than thou, like that type of stuff. Like I feel like your importance as a child, you're a teenager, I'm less than 17 here, was based off of how much you seemed to love God and to serve him, how great you were at doing praise and worship, how great you were at reading your Bible and explaining it to your peers. So to me, I felt like a little peer pressured. Like, okay, it seems like since this is a Christian school and they kind of like place value on people based off of how good they seemed in the with Christianity or with God and stuff, I want to be loved too. I want to be seen as acceptable as well. I want them to see value in me as well. And that's where the what's that word? The pressure came in for me. Now I am almost like not forcing myself, but I'm like, okay, I need to speak in tongues as well. I want to speak in tongues. I want to do all of these things. Like I want to seem like I know what I'm doing. And I feel like what was very pivotal for me is the fact, sorry, breaking transmission. So as I was saying, I felt like what was pivotal in that moment was that who I was as a teenager and the expectations that I felt that my school wanted from us as young Christians, it was not on the same page. I'm the type of person, I did not even like praying, to be honest. But we had so many, parts in, how will I put it? We had so many parts in my school whereby prayer was expected. You know, you have to serve your quiet time. You have to pray on assembly. We go to church, morning service, evening service, things like that. It was just like, whoo, this is a lot. Those things to me did not feel, they did not come naturally. I felt like there were things that I had to almost not force myself to do, but it were things that I felt like, oh my gosh, if I'm not doing this, they'll probably think I'm some bad person or whatever. And that's exactly how I felt for, like, I'll say 3 years, the remaining 3 years of me being in secondary school. And I'm not saying it was a terrible experience, because truth be told, there were times whereby I definitely loved the presence. I definitely love the presence of God, the way things were, our praise and worship. I think one of the things that carried me through secondary school and the aspect of Christianity was the fact that I loved music. For me, music was just transcending, right? Like the praise, the worship. When I was in 12th grade, that was SS3, I literally was the choir coordinator in the chapel. And those were the type of things that actually brought me joy. And I don't know if it's because I just love music or I just love singing or because I had a fairly great voice, you know. But that was the only thing that gave me like some type of solace. Oh God, comfort. Let me use that word. It gave me comfort because I was just like, that's what I love to do. The praying, the all that stuff is not me. I remember a particular scenario. I think we're praying on the assembly ground, right? And typically you're supposed to close your eyes and all those things. And me, I was just like, no, I don't know. It's just not something I want to do. And a teacher of us, one of our teachers saw me and she was just like, why don't I ever close my eyes when we're praying? Why don't you do this and that? And I won't say she forced me, but she told me, well, she kind of did force me, because if I did not join the prayer band, it would have been a problem. Because I told you to join and you did not join, that type of thing. So it was like she told me to join the prayer band, and maybe that was supposed to be some type of like way of converting me or making me, you know, do these things, but it didn't change anything. All it did was maybe mask it, but I did not feel a genuine like reason to do these things. So I don't know, like secondary school was a love-hate relationship for me, because there were so many things to me that just felt pretty hypocritical. And I'm not saying that we would have had everything figured out as teenagers, but some things were just weird. I'm like, here we are every Sunday, almost every day, you know, lifting our holy hands, hallelujah, you know, all those type of stuff. But you're a terrible human being. Outside of school, you know the things you be doing. I'm not judging, but I'm just saying. Like, so it was that idea of being unrealistic to the fact that, yo, we're still teenagers. At least this is my experience and how I feel. I'm like, we're still teenagers. I remember a particular instance that we were, it was an evening service, a church service, and a preacher came and was like, at the end of this, of the preaching, they were like, oh, if you want to dedicate your life, your virginity to God for the rest of your life, no, not for the rest of your life, until you're married and stuff, come out. You know, it was, almost everybody came out. Actually, everybody came out. I don't think I did. But everybody came out. Even if you did not want to come out, because everybody else was coming out, you didn't want to be seen as this, like, this one, she's a corrupt person. This one does not have any future with God. This one, she's terrible. You would just come out. You don't want to be seen in a different light or in a bad light. And to me, I felt like, looking back at that, I'm like, what type of stuff was that? I mean, we're still growing adults. There's nothing wrong with guiding it, because outside of Christianity, it's good to like just keep your stuff together, you know? But to me, I felt like they were not educating us on those other reasons why you should keep it together. Not because, oh, that's what God wants. That's what it is in the Bible. Those are the doctrines and the commandments that were placed down for you. It was just, everything was just seemed so faith-based. And on top of that, I feel like for me, because I was also in secondary school in Nigeria, right? When you start SS1, even no, the beginning, we do CRK, that's Christian Religious Knowledge. So apart from the fact that religiously, I am learning, and I'm trying to like have this build this faith in God. I also had to learn it just educational wise, you know? And when I got to ninth grade, which is SS1, right? I was in arts class, and that was one of the subjects that you had to continue, CRK, Christian religious knowledge. So it was like I'm learning these Bible teachings, I'm learning the religious and moral lessons, I'm learning, all these things. So it's like all of these things just got me questioning. Sometimes you read a Bible passage, or you get to a story and you're just confused, like, what? He had to do this in order for that person to do this. I'm not going to go deep into all these things because, as I said, this is going to be like a series because there's so many things to like unpack here. However, I just want to give like a general idea of what we're going to be talking about when it comes to religion and spirituality. So in secondary school, I was so deeply rooted in having to know God. I didn't feel like it was a choice. Because even if you were not a Christian and you came to my school, you just had to follow what was, laid out for you to do. You're not doing it because you want to. You're doing it because you're pressured to do it. And because of the environment that you are in. So it was very confined in the sense of it's school, it's God. Every other thing is surrounded around being a good Christian, being, a faithful servant, doing all these things. So yeah, secondary school was it was wild for me. There's so much to discuss when it comes to that, but I'm going to move forward. So when did I start to realize that I needed to kind of move away, or when I started to realize things on my own? As I said, to me, leaving secondary school, now in the real world, coming back to America after I left secondary school, right? I started to see things a bit differently. I was still trying my best to hold on to my Christian values and things that I learned when I was in Nigeria in school and all that stuff. I was trying to like, still hold those values. However, now I'm in college. Now I'm open, or not open to, like I am able to learn different things in a wide space of like possibility and knowledge, right? I'm not just in a box whereby, okay, this is what you were doing. You come to school, it's God, it's Jesus, and all that stuff. Now I am surrounded by people with different religions. Not that I wasn't surrounded by people in different religions in Nigeria, but I went to boarding school. So my family, everything, the people I'm in school with, everyone was meant to be Christian. But now I'm in college and they're different people. They're Islams, people that are pagans, people that are atheists, people that don't believe in God and things like that. So you just start to see like things from different light. Your knowledge starts to expand. And for me, when I got to college, I think my second year, or either my second or third year, I think my second year in college, it was like I was battling between, okay, I can't just say I'm not a Christian anymore because these values are still inside of me, right? However, I'm looking at other things and I'm just like, these things are not adding up, man. They're not adding up. And when we start to talk about the major reasons as to why some people are pulled away, or they kind of like leave a certain faith that they were indoctrinated into or they were born into, it seems very controversial. Because these things that you start to learn, these knowledges that you start to gain as when you're growing, you're like, okay, that's not making sense yet. And I'm going to talk about one of the reasons that I started to pull back. Because as I said, when I was secondary school, I always had kind of like not really sure, but I still had to do what I had to do then. But now I have more freedom to make my decisions, to open myself up to knowledge and to understand certain things without me feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm being judged by certain people, right? So here I'm in secondary school and I'm learning things. And I'm in college and I'm learning things, and not just things that you learn in college, but just your surroundings. You start to get inquisitive. And one of the things that I started to realize is that how was my religion brought to us as Africans, as Nigerians? How was religion brought to us? And I understand, I'm about to say this, and some people are probably going to be like, oh, religion was in Africa before the colonizers even came to colonize and bring the whatever. I get it. It wasn't in all the parts of Africa, not in West Africa. You might say Ethiopia. Yes, Ethiopia, but not even in every part of Ethiopia was Christianity prevalent, right? So, as a Nigerian, learning your roots, right? When you start to learn your roots and understand certain things, you will question a lot. We were thriving with our, what was that? With our traditional African religion. Was it the best? No. But we were thriving. We were okay. Life was going on. Then, foreigners came into our lands. I'm sorry. I'm not, like, I'm not trying to be controversial here, but I'm really trying to to tell you my own truth and how I feel. Colonizers come into our land. They bring the idea of Christianity. They bring the religion, right? Then they come to tell us that our way of life is wrong and theirs is, right? Theirs is right. Then I started to wonder. You guys, the major preaching of God, like his main commandment is love, right? Love is his main commandment. And yet, you guys came, brought a religion to us, used it against us. Right? You killed, tortured, and turned them into slaves for how many years? And you think that's something that's not questionable? When I started to learn all these type of things, honestly, I won't lie to you, it almost made me feel a little bit valid for having all of these contradictive like feelings when I was growing up. I was just like, this is not making sense. Okay, let's even leave how it was brought to us, right? Because the people who brought it to us, you see, America and everything, everyone is thriving, living in a good, they have their good lifestyle. I'm not saying America is the best. However, there are things that are a little bit more structured. Africa, let me talk about my country. As Christian and holy and prayerful as we are, we're still stagnant. I'm not saying that things haven't changed over the years. Yes, hallelujah. However, the people who brought these things to us, they have advanced way above, way beyond us. Even us as a people would say stuff like, those ones, they are not even Christian enough. They don't even know what they are doing. The people that brought it to you, they are not Christian enough. I'm confused. Like, the advantage that these leaders, these Christian religious leaders are taking, the advantage they're taking on the masses, crazy. It's almost like they are using our lack of knowledge and to beat us down. And 3 years ago, I think it's more than 3. Someone said when I was in secondary school, right? Going back to that, there was one of our aunties that told me that she was preaching, and she pretty much said something. It was the topic about backsliding, right? And she said that when you turn off a fan, it does not stop at once, right? It slowly stops, slowly until it comes to a complete pause or stop. To me, that's how it was for me. 3 years ago, I came to I was almost there at the complete stop. Because I was just like, no, none of this is making sense. Here I am going to church every Sunday because it's what I'm supposed to do. Not because it's something I want to do. Because I'm carrying all of this doubt, all of these contradictions, all of these teachings that really to me was not making sense. I'm carrying all of that, and I'm here on church on Sunday. Ooh, thank you, Jesus. You know? Even in college, at some point I joined like the choir in college in one of the churches, and I didn't feel good because I'm like, hey, yo, I was Saturday night, I was, doing my thing, turning up. And here I am trying to preach to people, singing, ministering, praises and stuff. It felt hypocritical for me. And this is just my own personal opinion, right? It just felt super hypocritical. And here there were other like leaders too, people that people referenced and put on top on a pedestal. They were doing the same thing, and I'm looking like, what are we even doing out here? What are we really doing? What are we doing? I understand that your faith is a personal, it's a personal journey, but still, it's kind of like, and perfection is not what God is looking for. However, I didn't feel good like trying to present myself as one thing, but I am still something else. So my faith in the past 3 years definitely almost came to a halt. I remember having an argument with one of my old friends, not my friend anymore, but he had completely transitioned out of Christianity. Completely. And I remember when we used to have like our arguments or conversations that always turned into arguments, right? I remember that, and he always was so passionate about, yo, you're blinded. You people are blinded. I'm just like, you need to calm down. First of all, everyone's journey is personal to them. I'm like, just because you are completely out of a religion and you've understood some truths and you've seen some realities, right? That does not mean you should like shit on someone else's journey. You don't need to do that. It's at the end of the day, whatever people choose to do, that's their business. I stopped having arguments about Christianity and all these things with people around me because most of the people around me are like my friends and they're Christians, right? But I stopped having arguments with them just because we're on totally different paths. Like there's nothing I'm going to tell you or try to convince you that's probably going to, get you out of the way you're thinking or the faith that you've established for yourself. And the same way with me, I don't want you coming to me like, oh, this is said, this is that, all of this is done. Like, I knew all of these things before I decided to leave. Like, you don't need to tell me anything. So I stopped having all these conversations, like trying to argue. Like, I stopped it. Because at the end of the day, it's my personal opinion. It's my personal journey on finding faith outside of what I was indoctrinated into. So I stopped. And up till today, as I said, I am to the word or the context or I don't know the word for what I am right now is agnostic I'm an agnostic theist. So agnostic theism, that's what I am. And pretty much an agnostic theist is someone who believes in the existence of a god or gods, but regards the basis of this proposition as unknown or inherently unknowable. So as I've always said to the people, because I have friends that were like, okay, you're not Christian, so what are you? I'm like, I'm an agnostic theist. I believe in God. I just don't believe that there's one specific way to him. Because my thing is, it's so contradictory. Here we are, we have Muslims, right? We have Christians, we have Buddhists, we have all these people that are very fervent in their faith. And they love their God. So are you trying to tell me now so you're trying to tell me that this person is not doing it right because your way is right? That's how it always came up to me. It started confusing me because I'm like, there can't be one particular way. I believe there is a God. I believe there's something out there. I believe there's a higher power, something beyond me, because you know why I believe that? Because I feel it. My spirituality has been way more important to me than any doctrine, any religious like rite or whatever. I don't care for all those stuff. But my spirituality, very important. For people who know me, they probably know what I'm talking about. But I try as much as possible to know God for myself. I have like a very interesting, like, what's the word? Respect for people who were indoctrinated into their religion, but at some point they came out of it I'm like, no, it doesn't, this is not making sense to me, right? However, they found him, they found God. You see, even using him as God. Whew, they found God on their own, either going back to their religion that they came out of or going to another one. To me, I feel like that's just much more comforting than, okay, I'm doing this because, oh, that's, I was a Christian, that's, I was born a Christian, I'm going to. Did you ever seek for yourself? Like, he gave us all this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Did you seek him for yourself? Or you just follow what pastor this says, pastor that says? It's even funny to the point, there was a time, right? I was, this was when I stopped going to church. And somebody told me, they were like, oh, you're not going to church again today? This Sunday, you won't go to church again? I was like, oh, okay. What's your point? And the person pretty much said, okay, what are you doing now? So what are you really, like, it's almost like, what's the meaning of your life? And I asked this person a simple question. I was like, when was the last time you actually spent some quality personal time with God? Right? And the person started mumbling, well, I'm like, when last did you read your Bible? When last did you read your Bible? When last did you spend some personal time with God? And the person was just like, whatever, giving excuses. And I'm like, so you're going to church on Sunday to do what? To prove what to who? So don't come for me. You don't know what I do. You don't know the type of like connection I have to whatever it is that I believe in. So keep it to yourself and mind your business. Respectfully. So Christianity, religion in general, is just something that I have just been very iffy about, because sometimes I even feel like it's a bit hypocritical, because anyone who knows me, it's like praise, worship, they're still so dear to me. Those are still the things. And obviously, because I grew up as a Christian, a lot of the music and the songs and whatever that I know, everything is, for Jesus and for God and stuff like that. So even when I'm singing, it's hard for me to just remove Jesus from the lyrics and stuff. So I do feel, this can come off a little bit hypocritical, but I'm like, at the end of the day, it's still my journey. And because I'm trying to seek God for myself, I'm trying to seek, the truth on my own, I don't feel like anyone should feel bad for that. Personally, that's just what I believe. And it was so interesting, right? That I when I was writing the notes for this podcast, I one of the major things that I highlighted was the fact that my respect for people who seek God on their own and seek the truth on their own, and they're searching for that answers on their own outside of what they've always learned, right? And randomly, because I still have a Bible app on my phone, and randomly I got like the daily verse, and it literally was talking. It was, what was this? I think Ephesians. I'll put it up. I'll indicate or put the Bible verse up for you guys to see. But it pretty much was about seek him for yourself, seek find him on your own and stuff like that. I was just like, wow. This is the reason why me transitioning out of Christianity or my faith was not absolute. However, it was a journey that I believe I needed to embark on my own. Like, I want to know him for myself. If I do not even ever go back to, my to Christianity, I still want to find things out on my own. And I feel like, as the person I am, I was just like, for me to have gotten that exact, Bible verse, why? There could have been anything else. Why was it exactly that Bible verse that I was actually talking about prior that I got? So all of these things, I understand, like, there can never be a full answer or a complete answer or whatever. But sometimes I think part of growing is also being open-minded. I'm open-minded to going back to my faith, or to one day, what would be the word? Being reborn again and stuff like that, or born again and all that type of stuff. But for now, Who I am is just based off of the fact that I know there is a God. I don't know exactly what type of God it is. I don't know if it's a God of the Muslims, God of Christians, God of Buddhists, or whatever. But I know there's a higher power, and a higher power to me is God. I feel it. I know it exists because I know, not because somebody tells me, or because that's what I learned as a kid, or because that's what Pastor something something said on Sunday, you know? So, yeah, that's pretty much my experience with um faith. And I'm pretty sure my viewers here, you guys all have your own opinions and things that you've probably battled with, in your religion, and things that you've come to realize as an adult and that you follow now. And I would really like to hear everyone's opinion on this. Like, what journey, like, how has your journey been, your faith journey? How has it been? Like, has it been great? Have you ever like just sat back and like, okay, these things are not resonating with me the way I wanted to, and I'm just gonna take a pause and come back to it? Or have you always just been like, you know, that's what my parents practice. This is what I will continue to practice. I don't need to know, hear this, or seek or find or anything. I'm good where I am. Like, what has been your experience with your faith? Has it been easy? Has it been smooth? Like, has it been hard? I would love to hear you guys' opinion. And as I said, this is actually going to be like a series. It's not going to be something that I'm just going to talk about once, because at the end of the day, everybody has their own, experience with their faith, Christianity, and Islam. Like, they have their own experience with their own religion, and I really want to know and to hear and to get to understand people's perspectives and opinions on these things. So we're going to come back to this episode, to this topic, faith, religion, spirituality, faith. We're going to come back to it another time, another episode, probably still going to be in this season, right? But I'm going to get like other people to talk about it, like a guest to talk about their experience with it. And yeah, that's what it's going to be. I'm so excited. I really do hope I made sense with all of these things that I said, and I did not like go over anyone's head. What is your opinion? Please drop your comments, drop your questions, anything that you want to discuss regarding this. Please drop it, and let's rub minds and share our thoughts on these things. And that will be the end of today's episode. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. As I always said, please watch, share, subscribe. And that will be the end of today's episode. Talk to you guys later. Bye.